Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's write some more Leetcode today. Today we are solving find missing and repeated values. So the problem basically states that we are given a 0 index 2D integer matrix grid, which is the size n times n, and the values will range from 1 to n squared. And each number or each integer from 1 to n squared will appear exactly once, except one which will appear twice and one of them which will be missing. And our job would be to find the repeating and missing number, and we will return an array where the first integer is the one that appears twice and the second integer is the one that is missing. So if you look at this example, from 1 to 4, 4 is missing and 2 appears twice. And in example 2, from 1 to 9, 9 appears twice and 5 is missing in the grid. So we will return an array where 9 is the first integer and 5 is the second integer. So now that we have seen some examples, let's get to how we can solve the problem. So one way that we can solve this problem is we can create a count array of zeros that is the length of n squared, and this count array will be one indexed. So then we will loop through each element in this grid, and whenever we see an element, we will increment that number in count in the position where it belongs. And then finally, in the resulting array, which is the array that we will return, whichever index has the number 2, we will put that in the first index in result, and whichever index has the number 0 in the end, we will put that in the second index for the resulting array, and then we will return the resulting array. So let's go over this example. We first look at 1, so increment 1 by 1. Then we look at 3, increment 3 by 1, and then we look at 2, increment 2 by 1. Then we see 2 again, so we increment 2 again. And remember that count will be one index rather than 0 index. And in the resulting array, we will look through count and see which index has number 2 and which index has number 0. So we see index 2 has the number 2. So we put 2 in the first index, and then we see 0 is in the fourth index. So then we will put 4 as the second one, and this will be what we return. So the time complexity would be O of n squared, because there will be n squared elements to iterate through, and the space complexity will also be O of n squared, because the count array that we create will have n squared elements. So now let's get to the coding part. So first we will set up the 2D grid. Count is 0 times length of grid times length of grid, and then we'll set the initial resulting array to 0 and 0. Now we will look for R in grid, and then for the column in each row, count of C minus 1, since it's one indexed, and then we will add it by 1. And having looking through, now we're just going to check which element is equal to 2 and which is equal to 0 for I in range length of count. So if count of I is equal to 2, then we will set the first index to I plus 1, and we need to do plus 1 because it's one indexed. So I plus 1. And if count of I is equal to 0, then we will set the second index to I plus 1. So result of I is equal to I plus 1. And then we can return result. Let's see if it works. Okay, perfect. Hope this was helpful. Thank you all for watching. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave it down in the comments section. And I hope to see you all again soon.